Imagine that you have an object that you want to move from one physical location to another physical location. In the physical world, you need some kind of body to realize that kind of transformation. And our physical bodies are pretty amazing for that kind of thing. When it comes to working in physical space, we often take for granted just how well adapted our bodies are for that kind of work. But for most of us, the kind of work that we're doing isn't about moving things around physically. It's more like we're trying to move things around figuratively. For example, when Tesla began, they were a car company making 0 cars an hour and wanted to move to a place where they were making 60 cars an hour. That destination isn't a physical location in space. You can't get there by taking a walk. You could say instead that it's a destination in some kind of figurative space. Maybe we'll call it the dimension of vehicle output. So most of our goals are goals like this. Figurative goals in a kind of figurative dimension. The question is, how do you move something in a figurative dimension? Well, you need some kind of agent native to that dimension. And most of the time, that agentic system doesn't exist yet. It needs to be created from scratch. That's exactly what you're doing when you're building a team. You're body building. You're engineering all the aspects of an agent that is going to work in whatever figurative dimension corresponds to the goal that you are pursuing. So the question is, what kind of body have you built? What does it look like? The human body is an amazing physical body. We often take for granted just how well adapted it is for performing in the physical space. Well, what about these figurative agents we're building with our teams? What do you think they look like? I'm going to describe some teams that I've worked with, and you try to imagine in your mind what the body of a creature would look like that fits this description. Okay, so imagine a creature that when something damaging happens to it, it takes several days before the head gets any signal about the damage. Imagine a creature where all of its parts are loosely held together with pieces coming and going, and several parts of its body are actually pulling it apart in multiple opposing directions at the same time. Imagine a creature that doesn't have any senses native to its environment, and when it does move, it has great difficulty understanding if it has in fact even moved at all. We could go on, but I think you get the point. When I think about the figurative body that represents most of the teams out there in the world, the image that comes to my mind is something kind of like this, a kind of adorable blob holding itself together in a body of orange jello. It's got some limbs, it's got maybe a few senses, maybe a few poorly integrated co-blob organs are pulled around by a little extra nerve bundle over here. Now I know it's kind of a ridiculous image, but this is the standard for the vast majority of teams. We are a loosely held together organism doing our darndest to try to make some meaningful progress towards a goal. So don't feel bad. In fact, every team actually looks this way. What's nice about making this realization, though, is that when most people think about why leading or managing a team is often difficult or challenging or frustrating or even painful, the vast majority of all of that difficulty just comes from the fact that we're trying to make a journey in a really cumbersome and awkward shape. And so that's what we'll be turning our attention towards now, which is how to build it. How to take whatever shape of a team you may have right now and organize it into a team that works as a more capable and unified body. The kind of team that can more quickly and reliably realize the goals that you are pursuing. Let's go ahead and get started.